What is reality? Reality is what we believe to be true about the nature of our surroundings. But how do we come to decide that true nature? Do we conceive it completely on our own? Or do other devices gently sway our thoughts onto a pre-decided path? This is the hard question we must all ask ourselves as free humans on this planet. Who sculpts your reality?
Reality. Hey guys, what's up? Wednesday night, know what that means?
What up?
See, and Dan would also go, time for reality brief.
Yeah, well, I'm not Dan.
We're just getting him caught up on what he's supposed to be doing, pretending to be Dan. This is Dan.
I'm learning. I'm trying to be Dan as much as I can. I started growing my beard out. Give me a couple years.
So we're broadcasting live, as always, from the super secret, undisclosed location here in kind of humid a little bit, Hampton, Virginia.
Why'd you just give away the location?
Everybody knows where it's at by now. I mean, shit.
Nobody watches this.
Super. So anyway, before we get started, though, I would like to give a big shout out to Berlin there, hooking us up with some Euro dollars to the donations and the PayPals. We appreciate it more than you know. And also, we picked up 2 new patrons, so thanks to you guys there, forking that cash over.
You gonna name them or anything?
Should I name them?
You should.
I don't know.
You should call it. Oh, okay, maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't know.
Seems like a little recognition for your #1 producer.
So anyway, tonight we've got Phantom Spy with us, and Dan is attending some type of ceremonial magic something meetup ceremony. I don't know, but he should be Skyping in a little bit later and filling us in on that. But I do right now. What we got here for you is Penny Bradley and Ian. Ian has designed this social media site, and Penny is, I guess, adminning it, you would say.
Cool. Nice.
So tell me, what's the point? I mean, what do you do there? What's the deal with this website? Why would I want to go over there and sign up? Which I already have, guys. It's awesome. You should check it out. But
Son of a bitch. I just noticed the same thing. Let's see.
let's see if that's true.
Huh.
Oh, we got sound, right?
Well, it sounds like sound.
All right, so maybe unmute it. Maybe unmute it in there. Sorry, guys.
Well, we were totally
It was
expecting
funny
that to
because we
happen.
were just talking about that, like how awful we are about technical audio not going out. And
You've still got the sound.
oh, now we can hear it 3 times. See, we got sound. It's 3 times in there. No,
I
there's
think we're
sound. That person may just have something muted or something. Okay, so I'm sorry. Why do I want to sign up to this site? What is going on in there?
Compel me.
Of course. Right? I mean, Zuckerberg, right? He's just like, look, he's
The
just
face
like,
of
look.
benevolence.
Right.
Mhm.
I mean, we understand that, and probably everyone listening to this right now understands that. But what? So what are you saying? This is like Facebook? And that's awesome, and that's always a plus. And so now, like, what kind of content could I expect to run? I mean, obviously secret space program stuff, but what else is going on in there?
Can hear Penny.
Bronchitis, really bad. My voice is a little bit weak, but as long as you're respectful on our server and you don't upload a lot of graphics, take up our server space, we're trying to conserve everything and keep it as text-based as we can. You can create your own group. You can have your own discussions. It's for the people. It's for people like us who have experienced stuff, want to share stuff, and want a safe place where we can share stuff and they're not just archiving it and sending it to be psychologically analyzed at the university somewhere. People don't realize that a lot of these sites that you go to are not there so much to connect you. They're there to take whatever you post and do research and marketing on it.
Now, to play devil's advocate here, say you're me, and I don't know either of you, and all I have is your word on, like right now, just a minute ago, that you're not data mining, that you're not storing any of the connections, you're not none of the transactions, you're not under any any legal orders or anything. I mean, what assurance do people that don't directly aren't already connected with you have that their connections, their story, and everything is safe there with you guys? Is there any I mean, I know that's a difficult question. I'm just kind of throwing it out there to see.
Well, we don't ask a lot of questions when you sign up, and we're not going to, we don't have enough, be honest with you, we don't have the disk space to keep crazy server logs. If anybody who knows the open source platform that we're using, it's out there. It's not anything that's really high advanced like Facebook. You're not connecting to like a building size computer. You're literally connecting to a computer the size of a pack of cards.
Yeah.
And you can look at it and tell it's not a big highfalutin system. And when you go on our site and you start typing things, if you start going to other sites, you're not going to start seeing advertisements about what you just typed. And there's no cookies. If you know how to check your browser when you log into our site, We're not going to give you tracking cookies. We're not going to upload a bunch of Java to you. We're not going to do anything on your hard drive if you know how to check. And, it's free to, people can scan us and see. We're just keeping it very simple.
Cool. Well, I think it's important that, any decentralization, especially of social networks, is critical for them to actually be social networks and not just corporate advertising platforms. That's I'm sure we can all agree that's all Facebook really is. Clearly selling data and everything, but it's like this illusion. People think that they're there to have their own voice and everything. They're there to be served press releases and paid placement stories and shit from Tide and Dow and all these damn, it's an advertising platform. Just like you said, you're the product. There's no reason why they're giving that away for free.
I honestly would like to try to keep it as ad-free for as long as we can. And maybe open it up to donations.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you consider donations, I know that's a legal, minefield, and I've even been a part of some sites that have gone down that path and been victim of, getting shut down through taxation, and Vote is a good example of it. It seems like maybe that's what's happening with Vote right now.
Yeah, Vote's getting...
Well, it's hard to say. The Vote is no one really knows exactly what's happened in the last couple weeks with it, but it seems like it's probably been taken over by law enforcement, and they're just running it as like a honeypot now. The content's totally changed, and there was some unexplained downtime, and
Well, I have had some experience with some of the government websites and stuff, and yeah, it's very easy for them to take you over if you're not careful. But we have registered our domain name offshore.
It's good.
So that might help us a little bit.
I think I should explain our motivation. I'm an admin on the SSP, the Secret Service Program group on Facebook that I have recently been informed is described as the big one. And we have been looking for a place where people feel safe to talk about their personal histories, their personal weirdnesses that they can't explain. They're having trouble facing that the memory is actually even real. And we've had several of the admins say, oh, I'm setting up a site, and we've waited probably, it's been over a year that I've been waiting for Neil Allen and Tony Rodriguez to have theirs on site. And then we started hearing all these people are in the Leave Facebook thing. And we've been having a steady drain in our group because these people are leaving Facebook.
That's good. Everyone should.
And so it's like, okay, we've spent 2 years now building this group of people who are experiencers, who have camaraderie. We have this like esprit de corps that we don't shit on each other, And so what my motive...
Name?
Yeah, I got it.
Name on the graphic there?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I see that. So, what we were trying to do was basically move the group to the website.
Yeah. Well, it's good once you have a core community. That's the key element. They can migrate to any site as long as they are in communication somehow.
Yeah, we wanted the communication to stay open and free amongst us, and last summer, so this is about 8 months ago, we had a member add 80 people all at once. And some of the members that had been there for a while freaked out because these were 80 strangers, and they felt their personal privacy was invaded. So the one thing about the website is you can't just add people. They have to come on their own. And I don't think we're filtering who comes in, but as an admin of the site, if somebody's really nasty, I'm going to give them a couple of warnings and then ban them from the site. The same rules that we have for the group will apply to the website. So it's consistent.
Yeah.
And I haven't written them out yet, but it's basically treat each other with respect. Don't shove your religion down somebody else. We do give you the option of opening a group for your religious beliefs, and you can do what you want in there.
It's cool.
But
The group forum is totally private, and you can lock it down as tight as you want or have it as open as you want.
It's nice to giving people a platform.
And I will say, too, when you sign up, it asks for some basic information, but there's no kind of verification step beyond, like, sending an email to an email address. So, like, you don't have to... They're not going to be like Facebook and be like,
You're not using your real name.
Scan your
You're gonna
utility
have
bill.
to get off the site now.
we don't
So
care what
much
name you use.
right, so...
And we only ask your age because the law says you have to be over 13 to join.
So there you
And you affirm that you are 13, and, you know, that's on you. It's not on us.
Exactly.
That would be pretty odd, I think. 13-year-olds.
We have a 16-year-old in the group.
Right.
Yeah, I was all over the
So-
internet even back then. 13. Oh, yeah.
So, now, we had talked, there was some ideas about expanding, maybe having a live chat. Is that something?
That's something that costs money, and
Not as
Ian,
much as you think it would be, but it's just a matter of adding that software in there.
Ian talked the company into, what was it, a third of their normal price? So,
Well, I do have a lot of places that I've done work for in the past, and I'm owed quite a few favors out there.
so
So, I mean, we've talked about different projects that we're trying to get off the ground with, like, counseling and stuff. Is that going to be part of what's going on over here? You guys going to offer,
that
like,
was the main thing in the Secret Space Program group, was that it was supposed to be a group counseling situation. And some of the early admins took it off in different directions, and we had a lot of confusion about that. But yeah, that's as soon as we get the financing together to get the chat on there, the live chat, then we will start having the counseling. I do hours and hours and hours of counseling on Facebook chat.
And the
And all
And-
of that's being recorded by Facebook. So we will be shifting my counseling over to spaceportals.net.
And
That's a good
the
idea, yeah.
platform that we will be using would be called Comet Chat. It's a basic PHP script. Nothing is stored on our server. It's just literally, a, it will look kind of similar to Facebook Chat, but it works a little bit slower. Nothing goes through our, other than from, it's peer-to-peer. It goes from one computer to the other, and it just sort of passes through the straw.
Now, you've got this ad section up here. It's kind of like classifieds that people can, like, can people add sections, like subsections to these? You got, like, cars for sale, casting calls, for sale, housing and rentals, services, personals. Can people add subsections?
That's pretty much stock that came with Dolphin. I can add sections if they want. I've not even spent time developing that. It's just there.
To make it a
Right.
gun marketplace.
Well, see,
We kind of thought that could end up with some really interesting posts. We were waiting to see what the community came up with.
yeah. And then we've also
Like,
got a. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
like I said, it's stock, and I could even turn it off with just a few clicks of the mouse. You know, that's part of the Dolphin platform.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I mean, keep it up there, see what happens. Who
Mhm.
knows?
Someone
Yeah.
might get creative and you actually use it for something worth something. Who knows? Maybe somebody will sell their Pokemon cards on it.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about certain record store might have a little ad up there. Darkness Records.
Hey, I do like the vinyl, and I'm always looking for vintage stuff.
Awesome. So now we've got a
I
section for
I I need a needle for mine.
What kind do you need? I probably got drawers full of them.
My player is a JVC.
Let's take a picture of the tone arm, and I'll take a look at it.
Very
Okay.
nice. Anybody else need any record needles out there? Hit us up. The number is 757-528-8130 if you got a question for our guests. Okay, so now you also got a blog section up there. I notice you haven't set up anything.
Well, nobody's
Going on in
posting
there.
it, but if you want to have your own blog, you can have your own blog.
Yeah,
Okay.
whenever you form your personal profile, you'll have your own strip at the top with the different things you can do. And one of them is you can have your own personal blog on your profile.
It's not WordPress. It's pretty basic, but it does give you a platform to blog on. Like I said, we don't host images on our site. You have to use like a postimage.org to post your images, and we've got instructions on the forum on how to do that. And we don't host videos. You can link a YouTube video in pretty easily, but you have to do it by embed. But it takes a little bit of getting used to. It's not like where you can just upload an image and then Facebook stores your image and keeps it for you. Well, you got to find a place to host your image. Now you can upload your own photos, but those photos don't stay on there forever. They will eventually expire out, and those are just member uploaded photos. Mm-hmm. We got a lady from Amsterdam that's been really uploading some really interesting stuff. I can't pronounce her name. I think it's kind of like Trudy or Trutji, but she's posting some really interesting things that she's finding on Google Earth. And if you go up to her profile, I think you can probably find her. She's really got some things that's made me go,
Yeah, she's found some definitely interesting photos. And we have our Secret Space program and Reality Brief are already there in groups.
Yeah, that's right. We carried the torch of Shitpost Friday on over to Space Portals. Gotta break it in right, guys. Get on in there.
Yeah,
and make
I
silly
noticed
pictures.
that.
And I spelled it wrong too. And Ian, I wanted to ask you, how do you edit the? But we'll talk about that later. Right now, what I want to talk about is the other features of this webpage and why you guys should go check it out. Now, explain this timeline to me, how this works. You actually see, like, when someone uploads a photo to their thing, there's like
The timeline is driven on your personal profiles. It is not driven on groups. It is not driven on forums. If you upload a photo on that, then that shows on that, but it will only usually show to your friends. Or if you've got your timeline set to show to the public, it'll show to the public.
So it's similar to how Facebook would operate with that.
Similar, but not quite. If you post a link to it, it doesn't necessarily make it public. It's not necessarily visible to all, and it does scroll off after about 10 people. That's why we try to get people to post your links and stuff in the forums. That way people can discuss them.
And now, these forums, it's not exactly the same as everything, but if you've used the internet forums before, as far as calling up images and videos and things like that, it's pretty standard.
It's pretty stock.
Yeah,
now there's a forum in every group that's a private forum that only that group can see, only that group administrator can administrate. Now, being that Penny and I do have some administrative powers, we can go in there and clean house if we need to. If somebody starts getting a little bit vulgar or arithmetic in it, but we've got two levels of forums. There's public forums, and then there's private forums. The group forums are private. Only the group members can see that. So if the group administrator decides to say that they want to approve all the people joining that group, then only the group members can participate in that forum. If they want it open in public, then it can be open in public. And isn't that the truth on Skynet? I really think that there's more to a lot of the networks than we think.
Skynet's real. And there are human beings chipped into it. And most of them don't even know it.
Like I said, we are the product that Facebook is selling. Just how deep down the rabbit hole do we go? And while we're on the subject, did you all notice the news story in Northern California where they caught a serial killer because his relatives submitted their DNA to Ancestry.dna?
That's terrifying. Major step.
People are turning over
the wrong direction.
People are turning over their very genetic makeup to a company to find out what ancestry they have, but what do they do with it after that? What can be done with it after that? I mean, all it takes is an overreaching government to say, hey, Ancestry, turn over all that DNA, and we're going to start scanning it against all of our criminal stuff.
Eventually it'll be mandatory. They'll say, do you want an ID, to get the finger prick?
Well, I was interested in the I think it's the 123Me, and I looked at the
23andMe.
user. Yeah, the 23andMe. I looked at the user agreement, and it said that they owned my DNA for any and all purposes if I signed up. And I said, oh, hell no.
So that means they can sell it to a company that makes clones, and they could legally make clones of you.
It'll be public
domain.
domain.
If making clones was legal, but, like that matters.
Yeah, like that matters.
Absolutely. Would I willingly give away my DNA to a company like that? And the thing that really scares the stuffings out of me is they're turning around and paying money on top of it. And then what do they do with this DNA? They're using it for medical research. Hey, next thing you know, the insurance company is going to start saying, hey, this group of people are prone to diabetes, so let's charge them more. I mean, it's just scary stuff. Our freedoms are only, we give away our freedoms, more than we ever know.
We've given away our sovereignty as individuals and as a race. The human race has allowed so much nonsense for so long that we don't even know we have power anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the pussycat come from?
Did I hear that?
Yeah, that is Lady Jade. That's one of my many companions here.
Ah, well, Miss Kazoo has not made an appearance, but she may.
She's an Abyssinian.
That makes us more real as people when we have critters. Come on.
Just a little blurb here. This was posted in the group earlier, and it appears that a phantom spy says that he recognizes this video from a couple years ago, and it is not indeed the event in question. So this is a different plane here.
Yeah, it's somewhere in Russia. I can't remember.
But I mean, if you look, you don't really see the trees or anything anyway. So I mean,
yeah,
it
that
looks
doesn't
like
look
it's a
anything
totally
like
different place.
Yeah.
And what's this bus? Some European shit.
Yeah. Yeah, look, there's a damn tank up there, like a people mover.
That is amazing shit, though, man. I mean, it's just like, wow.
Yeah, that's a
Kaboom.
That's a bad last couple
So
seconds.
anyway, the event in question, which I'll try to pull up in a minute here if I can find it, it's pretty interesting. Like, I'm not gonna say their name, but somebody in our group. If you want to know who it is, you're gonna have to go to the Reality Brief group on Facebook and join it to find out. And the video shows the plane go down over the tree line and then explode, kaboom! But you don't see the plane impact or anything like that. You see the tree line, but right afterwards there's like a flash of this thing, this black thing. It could be a bug, maybe. It could be something else, though. I mean, who knows? But it just was weird. And I think, Ian, you were commenting earlier on the timing of the explosion, too, right? Didn't that seem a little off?
Yeah, because those things, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I see the C-130s all the time, and they're not graceful planes. I've seen one come in, I've seen one actually glide in and do a landing out at one of the airfields here near a military base I live by, and those things are they're heavy, they're turboprop, they're not jet, they're loud and they're slow, and when those engines go off, they don't stay up there very long. They tend to just drop like bricks.
Well, one thing, I'm sorry not to interrupt, but one thing that I just saw in this video playback here, the little flash, it definitely looks like it goes in front of this building here, so it was most likely like a bird or a bug or something, nothing off in the distance going over the tree line. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you there.
But the thing is that thing, the explosion should pretty much have happened as soon as it hit the ground, and it just seems like that's awful slow.
And we saw in that other video as a comparison, it was pretty instant. Yeah, see that thing that flew by? That was definitely in front, like real close to the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, if you look at the ground plane that you're looking on, right, where that truck is parked, if you follow that ground plane past that hill, and you consider that hill as just a complete rise and then fall back down to the same relative ground plane, at a long distance, I could see that explosion. I could see the plane taking until now to actually impact. The explosion's rising and rising and rising.
Right. Well, this is slowed down.
It's
too.
super
this
slow.
This is way slow right now. But man, I guess we could probably, which we may try to do at a future date, maybe not tonight. Open up Google Earth and pinpoint where this happened at, and then pinpoint where the camera is sitting at, the best we can.
Yeah, I haven't even looked into this event at all. Like, I saw a headline about it.
The first I saw of it was earlier in our group. I hadn't heard about it. I was at work all day.
Yeah. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if this was some, strike by China or something? Use one of their secret satellites to, pop it out and do a quick laser beam shot at the C-130.
And they're running a training exercise, and they were coming from Puerto Rico, according to the official press release from the squadron that this was part of. So I mean, why would they want to take that plane out there? I mean, it seems like it could just been an accident, though.
Oh, it probably was, yeah.
But I can't really give you a good reason why they would want to take that plane out, unless there was some.
Well, those are very long distance airplanes. I have got some experience with them. I do know that they practically have urinals in the back of them. They can be they can be flown continuously for hours, and the crews can sleep in between piloting shifts. I know that when they leave, they can leave here. I make no bones about it. I'm in pretty much the central area of the nation. Louisville, Kentucky is a massive player when it comes to the shipping logistics, part of the world. I mean, the UPS's world hub is here in Louisville. So practically every package that goes through the air gets sorted here in Louisville. And the military's got a big presence on that air base too, and they fly C-130s. And they literally take off from Louisville and they go to Kosovo, they go to Syria, they go to the sandbox over there. They can be anywhere in the world from this area and, load up and go.
Well, considering that they're long range like that, I mean, that would explain the gigantic explosion. I'm sure it was pretty loaded heavily with fuel. And I was wondering about that, too, when I first saw it, like, how long it had been in the air, like how much fuel could have possibly been on there, because it was a pretty huge explosion
or something, right? It had just taken off is what I thought I read.
I didn't really get that. They weren't that clear about it in the release that I read, but
and they're probably not going to be.
Yeah, no, obviously not. It came from the military. I mean, something blew up. That's about what you can get from it. But yeah, I mean, the explosion was humongous. It definitely goes very high over the tree line. And in comparison, again, to that one video that people are trying to say was that event, the explosion in that one didn't go that high. It was a lot smaller. So, I mean, yeah, it definitely must have been loaded down with some fuel.
I mean, there could have been
Well-
munitions on board, too.
Yeah, that.
It's whatever I say. It's generally a non-combatant airplane. About the only one that I know that ever carried weapons was back in the Vietnam era. They had Puff the Magic Dragon, and it had a flamethrower on it. But
Well, I mean, they could be transporting weapons, is what I'm saying. you
Well,
know?
that was that one that Hillary Clinton was in when they were shooting at her, right?
She killed those snipers. Yeah.
When she pulled out her machete and
She
said decapitated
assaulted
those
them.
snipers.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that.
yeah, amazing how your sound just got pixelated right about that time.
Nah. Hey, look. Where'd it go?
What are you doing?
Those things
Stop.
you had.
What things? What are you talking about?
Oh, see, we've got some guys.
Freaking out over
guys,
here.
we've got protection.
Oh,
Check
yeah,
it out. All right, don't fuck with us, y'all.
Bing.
See, we're boys. We're boys. All right, we're boys.
It's right there.
I'm gonna put it on my car. We're good.
You're gonna get shot. Don't you know that?
Nah, it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late.
You know too
It's
much.
over. It's over. So, what do you think about it, Penny?
I was watching that now. Oh.
I mean,
I've got the laptop here with the camera, and I've got my desktop set up where that I can see what you're showing, so that I'm not sitting here wondering anymore. And that was just like, wow.
yeah, it was pretty incredible. I mean, there's no other way to describe that. There, plane just falls out of the sky like that.
That would be
And I mean,
terrifying.
it just does not. It doesn't really look right. I mean,
I agree. When the first playback of that I hadn't seen it, it looked like a
it
toy
almost
plane
looks like
falling out
that.
of the
It
air.
almost looks like that thing is being pulled to the ground by some other force.
Yeah. Looks strange.
The angle that it was falling at was like,
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact,
I've not seen that.
planes are
That
was like
engineered
something
not
went
to
out.
fall backwards.
Right.
Like there's no, I can't imagine unless it
Yeah.
was struck or something. It like was doing like stalled out or something. You know, that's the only way I could.
Or
picture
got
it.
hit by something.
No, I've watched them practice some pretty, low angle quick landings, at the air base where, I can see from, my area. And those are some pretty impressive planes. And I'll be honest with you, the pilots, we have some of the best pilots in the world. It just doesn't look, it's just something had to either terribly catastrophically go wrong with that plane, or it just doesn't make sense.
I'm telling you, it's China showing off some new weapon.
Who knows, man? Look, we live in a very heavy military area too. We've got all kinds of bases everywhere. There's constant military traffic over us. Helicopters, those 130s, fighter jets. I've even seen a stealth a couple times. But we
Battleships.
live we're right by Langley Air Force Base.
You're giving away the location of the secret headquarters.
Hey, that's generic enough. They already know it's humid Hampton.
Yeah.
What's Dan call it? I forgot. Hampganistan.
Well, I live in the Yosemite area in California, and we have a supposedly secret Marine base uphill from us where they train all the services for alpine combat. And so we get a lot of traffic too.
Near Ojai by any chance?
No. Actually, Travis isn't too far away.
And I'll probably, hopefully not maybe might get in trouble for saying this, but I am heavily suspecting that there is some type of deep black base in Suffolk, which is was not far from here, and you know, for reasons I can't really go into right now, but it looks like there's something there. There's something going on there. You know, you could see it any matter of time. Military bulldozer type shits. And
Well, you know those maps that they put out about the underground maglev trains. According to the map, I have one that goes basically right under where I live. It goes from Southern California to Portland. So, but it doesn't go up the coast. It comes up the Sierras.
Yeah.
yeah, those maglevs. I'm gonna see if what the hell is black. How does that happen?
Now you're gonna see ads for black boots
Oh
forever.
my god! What was the name of that site, man? Forget it. Forget
What are
it.
you talking about?
Man, there's this website and it houses like thousands of FOIA requests. And it's run by some guy. He's a pretty cool dude. Seems to be anyway. I don't know him. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff in there. But I know those maps and also more information on those maglevs is on that site. And I'm trying to remember what the hell it's called. It's like
It's not Black
Secrets-
Book?
Black something secrets.
I don't know.
I can't remember. It's been around for a long time, and there's probably people. Let me check the chat, see if anybody knows what I'm talking about. But anyway,
Chat's dead. I'm very disappointed in chat tonight.
chat's like,
If I was at home, I'd be chatting it up.
they're like, look, you told me to take the mute off, so I clicked the mute button. Now I don't hear nothing. Peace. Mic is too low. What a terrible night. I'm sorry, guys.
If only Dan were here.
It is.
all
I'm
be
gonna
going so
blame
much
it. I'm
better.
gonna blame it all on Dan not being here.
Well, it could be me ruining everything too.
With that
I
too.
do have the ruinous.
That too. You
know,
are the ruiner.
effect.
Let's see. But let me just do that a little
No,
bit right
that
there.
title for the
Back-
runner is already taken.
The ruiner is already taken.
Yeah. You have to give him a new one.
All right. So, where were we now? We were talking about the website that had the FOIA requests on the maglev trains. Right.
Pretty good recall right there. Nice job.
Hey, but before that, we were talking about the C-130s that are heavily flying around in this area all the goddamn time, and me agreeing with him that, you know, they're clunky and noisy. Where do we go from here? What time is it?
It's
And
not-
also, guys, Dan is going to be calling in at some point from that thing. So, I mean, you guys have anything else you want to talk about? The website or any of that stuff in general? If not, we can start jumping to some of this new stuff we got here. And you don't have to stick around. Either one of you don't have to stick around for the news if you don't want to.
Well, hey, I might stick around just to,
Right now. That's cool.
Jump in our 2 cents worth.
Yeah.
It gives some snark to it. You never know.
All right, and I just got told to eat the mic. I'm sorry, guys. We are horrible tonight. Not
Hey,
Baggins. Not
did-
Baggins.
didn't-
Phantom Spy
didn't-
here. He's great.
I'm always.
Here's a
Didn't I
bunch of
tell
maglev on
everybody-
fra.gov. Fra.gov.
Fraud.gov.
Fraud.
Okay,
Fraud.
let's see. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Ian. Did you have something to add there?
Yeah, I'm going to send you a link by Facebook.
Oh, okay.
since I don't know how that works on the. I think of the Mac's kind of simplified. Let's see. Where
First
are.
up tonight, we've got almost 1,500 migrant children placed in homes by the U.S. government went missing last year. Oh, you don't say. You don't say. So federal
Yeah, 'cause they're
officials.
so good at keeping track of stuff.
Federal officials lost track of nearly 1,500 migrant children last year after a government agency placed the minors in the homes of adult sponsors in communities across the country, according to the testimony before a Senate subcommittee Thursday. This is April 26th, so it's a little old. You may have heard about it before, but we're talking about it anyway. So the Health and Human Services Department has a limited budget to track the welfare of vulnerable unaccompanied minors and realized that 1,475 children could not be found after making follow-up calls to check on their safety, an agency official said. federal officials came under fire 2 years ago after rolling back child protection policies meant for minors fleeing violence in Central America. In a follow-up hearing on Thursday, senators said that the agencies had failed to take full responsibility for their care and had delayed crucial reforms needed to keep them from falling into the hands of human traffickers. You mean they're talking about themselves here? What's going on?
Yeah,
They're
this
like,
is a little confusing.
So you are the worst foster parents in the world. You don't even know where they are, said Democratic.
Oh, they're probably sold for Reptoid Chow.
Oh, man. They're hanging out, Reptoid Chow. Or worse. There's worse than being Reptoid Chow, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Democratic Senator Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota. We're failing. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And when we fail, kids, that makes me angry. I wonder if she turns green.
Maybe.
I turn into Alex Jones.
Heidi, I don't know. That doesn't sound like a very angry name.
Heidi.
Heidi, I don't know how angry she can really get.
I don't know. I've known a couple of Heidis that you wouldn't want to deal with.
I think I'm thinking of that old movie. Remember the Heidi movie? You know, it was like some little kids movie from like the 60s or something. Heidi.
So, basically, it's going to go on and on and on because they can't just get to the goddamn point. And the point is, the federal government basically just trafficked 1,500 children.
Well,
Whether they just lost track of them or not, they're directly responsible for the shit.
I mean, there's a lot more than 1,500 migrants in general that are being lost track of. There are
no doubt.
like literally like millions of.
I will definitely agree with that point. But the point here is that these were under government control, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were de facto trapped.
That's a shame.
Once
like
a kid
Haiti,
is put in CPS or anything like that, they're subject to a lot of trafficking. I've been running across because I run a couple of news pages. I've been running across article after article after article about CPS foster parents that have been trafficking and abusing their kids.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see them arrested, but at the same time, you've got all these kids that they've harmed.
Yeah, it's just, I've seen too much working in EMS. It's a brutal system. You rescue a kid from a parent that's not good, and you put them in a home that's worse.
Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of, and we can thank Dan for this again too, for sourcing us an article from Zero Hedge. I really do appreciate him though, man. He's been picking up the slack for me lately. I haven't had time to do shit, and he filled up the trailer for me tonight. Even though he wasn't gonna be on the show.
Nice job, Dan.
What's up? Thanks, Dan. Holla.
And Zero Hedge is awesome, by the way. I don't know if you're trying to talk shit about Zero Hedge or not.
I'm on the ledge with them.
Zero Hedge is a good news source. One of the few.
Zero Hedge, I think, has a personal political viewpoint that sometimes interferes with his objectivity.
There are a couple of authors that I would agree with. A couple of authors.
But there are a lot of his articles are very fact-based, and he covers topics that not everyone is willing to touch.
Yeah, it's a market-centered viewpoint, and is what I appreciate about it. It's very objective. But the Tyler Durden persona is multiple authors, is my understanding. It's like a committee of revolving authors that come in and out and help with the site. I don't. They're kind of anonymous in that way.
Well, I've been reading Zero Hedge. Oh, gee. Almost the whole time I've been on Facebook. So, that was 2009 I came on Facebook. So, yeah, people who read my wall now wouldn't believe it. I started off as a libertarian. And then I studied with an anarchist. And along with recovering my memories, I suddenly drifted towards the left. So I'm somewhere in the middle.
All right, so let's see what this guy Tyler Durden, the many faces of Tyler Durden, has to say about it. So, Clinton-linked cult leader who hot-branded women arrested for sex trafficking.
Oh yeah, that's a big deal. That was a cult that had all these women who were basically providing him with sex slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
they,
some
they
of them were pretty major celebrities.
Yeah, and he was hot branding them with his initials. Sometimes on their belly and other times in their genitals. And these women were paying money to have this done to them. You guys
Yeah,
are in
Allison
the
Mack
market.
that was on Smallville was one of them.
One of the guys that was a Trump advisor was a lobbyist for this cult, and that came up in my Twitter feed yesterday. So
Yeah.
he's now going through this big denial of, I didn't know they were doing this. I didn't know they were being traffickers. I went to one of their meetings and it was okay.
I'm sure when you're out there dealing with these people and the people that exist in the sphere of these people, that they're all fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Like
oh,
and that
God.
these guys didn't stand out at all. And I have zero sympathy for all these actresses and shit. I fuck them all. They're in a fucking cult out in fucking Hollywood. Fuck them all. Like, fuck them, man. I have no sympathy for these people. They're not victims. I mean, they're victims in the sense that they're fucking millionaires that got a fucking tattoo of some fucking guy they fucked up. I mean, it's like, they're blowing this up in a weird way. This story has been like plastered all around Facebook and shit, all suspiciously too much for me, and it makes me think that this is going to be the official response to the Pizzagate stuff. Like, oh look, no, we took care of that. We shut down that
Right.
sex cult in Hollywood. It's all gone
Trump's,
now.
Trump's cracking
You watch.
down.
Yeah.
You watch. I mean,
That was the feel that I had about it too, was that they were going to sacrifice a few of their people who had crossed their
exactly.
into territory where they pissed somebody off, and they're going to they sacrificed Harvey Weinstein, and they're sacrificing this cult. And
Weinstein's still out there. That's one. That's, we'll see if anything even comes. He hasn't even been charged with anything.
No.
He's going to get away.
Well, I know
He's-
I know he hasn't. He's supposedly in Arizona in some sex addiction workshop.
You know what else too I think will be real telling is when Bill Clinton, or not Bill Clinton, might as well be Bill Clinton.
Yeah,
Bill
Freudian slip.
Cosby gets handed down his sentence.
Oh, he did.
Oh, what did he
He's
get?
going. He's go.
I
I
wouldn't
don't
think it
remember
was
how long,
final
but
yet.
he did get prison.
Yeah, he was.
I think
he
it
was
could be up
guilty,
to
but
30 years, but I don't think it's been finalized.
They didn't do
Yeah.
sentencing yet.
Yeah, because from what I understood, they sent him home on house arrest for the time being.
They're not going to lock him up.
That's what I'm
That
saying.
dude's going to die in the next few months after this news. I
Yeah.
mean, it's over.
Now, if
They're
they-
making an example out of
If
him.
they turn
too, for
around
sure.
and they give him like 6 life sentences plus 30 years, or the maximum penalty or whatever, then maybe I'm hopeful to see some cracking down on some shit. But if he ends up with stay home and die,
Well, hold on now. This is also someone that's been now, from my understanding of this, convicted in a second trial. He's in a second trial for the same crimes, so the same allegations, and there's no physical evidence for these charges.
Oh,
so
okay.
I know I'm not saying that Bill Cosby isn't a rapist. I'm sure that he is, but that's a very dangerous precedent to just say, this guy raped me 30 years ago. Fuck his life up.
No,
It's over.
you
And
know.
that's
Yeah.
that's the victory that they're going for. They're not going for some
No,
justice.
I
understand
agree
that.
with that. There has to be due process.
Rule of
it's
law.
like we're
That's
you-
getting a caller. Let me go ahead and
It's
take
Bill
that
Cosby.
video.
I can't. I got the worst.
It puts them on hold. I don't like doing this. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Dan. It's you?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh,
dude,
Dan.
man, I got to try to figure out how to add you to this group call here. Otherwise, this is not going to work right.
Okay.
All right. You know what? Call back on Skype.
So,
Skype,
What's
all
it?
right?
I don't have Skype on my phone.
Oh, well, shit. Well, call back in like 20 minutes.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Call
Sorry
back.
about that. He called in on the number, and it won't let me join you guys in with him. It was Dan, by the way.
Dan the man.
Sorry about that. So yeah, where were we? Derp.
Talk about sex cults.
Oh,
and stuff.
sex cults. That's right. No, I understand what you were saying, Billy, about you know.
I mean, there's
just throwing the book
absolutely
at 'em.
zero.
Oh, Cosby.
I mean, I'm sure Matt Lauer was a dog, but he never was tried for nothing, and his career was in the toilet, all on allegations. I mean,
Right.
if you're
Well,
going to
you
come
can-
forward, put some charges on him, put him
You can
through
lose
the
a
trial.
job through
What
allegations.
happened to innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't. He's not in jail. Matt Lauer lost his job. It's perfectly fine to be fired if your coworkers come forward with allegations against you. That happens every day. You know, I think what happened to Matt Lauer, he was publicly shamed for something that, again, has been excused for decades and is commonplace. He's one of hundreds, if not thousands, of people that do this shit every single day. He was, just like Penny said, just a sacrifice, just thrown out there to say, look, see, problem solved. Don't even worry about that, guys.
Right.
Yeah, they're trying to make it where that they're going to throw out some sacrifices so that it solves everybody, and the trouble is, if there's no due process, then you can accuse anybody anytime of anything, and there's no way to defend yourself if you are innocent.
We're basically there. Wait for someone to call you a Nazi. You know, how do you?
Somebody
there's no-
has called me a Nazi.
Well, then you know
And
exactly what I'm
that-
talking about. You know? I mean, that's become this like one word like condemnation. It's like people just their
a
eyes turn
year
red.
ago.
It's
A
unbelievable.
year ago, I did a interview. One of the first ones I did with Reality Brief was my side of a controversy where I was being publicly called a Nazi, and people were being told to give me hell.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't done anything.
From what I saw, it was pretty unfair. I mean, and this person, it was Alfred, the exopolitics.com guy. I mean, the video's out there. You can watch if you want to if you guys feel like rehashing that. It's on our channel out there somewhere, and it's also on the spaceportals.net. So you can log in there and join the Reality Brief group, and then find it on there. But yeah. So basically, he's just like calling her a Nazi. What was the exact phrase he was using? It was like
It was something out of his book that he had just, the German language version had just been published, and he was attacking me as publicity for his
Right.
book.
the phrase he was using every time he was attacking her was exactly like the title of his book. It was like it was
Yeah,
so
it
obvious
was.
too. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like, get the hell out of here. So yeah, definitely the Nazis. Everybody every time.
Oh, what? You
chill out with that.
You like guns? You must be a Nazi.
Yeah. You know, when I went down to that protest, that Muslim ban protest, remember, down in Norfolk, I was arguing with some people, and at least 2 or 3 people were like, "Yeah, you're just a fucking Nazi." Like, it was like high schoolers that didn't even know what a Nazi.
They don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even know
And-
that like.
And then you've got real people carrying Nazi flags, and they're treated like this is normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you've got
I have a neighbor that flies the Nazi flag over his house Hitler's birthday every year.
I think the great thing about this country is that you are able to do that and not have bricks thrown through your window
that
or
is
lose
true.
your fucking job.
that
you
is
know?
true.
Yeah, freedom
May
of
not agree
speech
with
as
it,
long
but-
as it doesn't offend.
Yeah, whatever happened to that? You know, I disagree with what you say, but I will die to defend your right to say it. You know, that sentiment is just gone.
Well, you hurt my feels happened.
Yeah, my fifis. Did you not know about the Fifi situation?
The Fifis, they are in great danger.
Well, now now in schools, it's more about the self-esteem of the kids than it is actually
Yeah,
educating
have a
the kids.
trophy for
Everyone's a
being the
winner.
worst.
You don't want to make.
Guess what? You're the best at being the worst.
Oh man.
No, I'm
I can
saying,
see
though,
participation
that is-
trophies,
no,
but
you know,
but
that's one
make
thing.
sure that the winner gets a ribbon or something.
Yeah.
But they go. It's just they take it overboard. You know what I mean? It's one thing
Yeah.
to not just be a shit bastard to a kid. You know what I mean? But it's
Mhm.
another thing to turn them into someone that's reliant on everything else around them. You know what I mean? Like they can't sustain themselves. Like I
Yeah.
can't even. You know what I mean? Because
Or
I
the
can't
cry
tie my
room.
shoes for me
That
when I'm
kills me.
17 because
Sorry, man. We are in a generation of like half the people that we went to high school with are probably sitting in their underwear watching fucking cartoons right now.
That's
with,
what I would
with
be doing if I
superhero
wasn't doing
T-shirts
this.
on and shit. I'm saying like our generation is already there as the adult children
Right.
that never,
Yeah.
by and large, that never received that reality brief that they needed. You like that?
Ching, you owe me $5.
Yeah, damn it! Oh, I'm the producer.
You know,
man.
I'm at the tail end of the baby boomers, the last real group of them, and we may have accomplished a lot, but you have no idea how many of my generation you just described when they're not at work.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, the baby boomers, created as a comic books as an example, was riding on the back of that generation.
Look,
you know.
I'm just gonna put it out there, and I am totally not against sitting around in your underwear playing comic books. I mean,
Video games.
reading comic books or playing video games.
Yep.
But that's one thing. But if that is your life, then there may be a problem.
I mean, it's weird how
Yeah.
people, even my coworkers and stuff. These are adults, homeowners, parents and stuff, and the way that they'll talk about these movies and stuff. Sometimes it's just like,
It's like
are you, these are like.
it's fake.
I mean, look, it's not just fake. These are literally like children's stories. You know what I mean? There's no getting around it. These are stories and characters and
What is that noise?
It sounds like
someone's
he's
taking a fucking long hit, man. I'm telling you.
Helicopter.
Yeah. Well, I want to tell you guys, as a baby boomer, that some of our problems actually started in my parents' generation. There was a phenomenon known as Dr. Spock,
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
and that created that current mess. And it was my parents' generation that did that, not mine. So I'll take credit for what we really did screw up, but we didn't screw it all up. In fact, we were headed towards fixing a lot of the stuff, and the generation of our parents decided to make sure we couldn't.
Well,
So-
maybe they ought to take some of Bill Cosby's advice. Go get the switch, hold it like a samurai sword, and let the beatings begin.
Bill Cosby.
Well,
It sounds like something Cosby would say. For
that
sure.
sounds like something out of a death metal song. Get the switchblade.
Yeah, he-
Let the burning begin.
Hibbity hobbity.
well, I don't advocate beating children, but
No.
discipline is absolutely necessary.
Oh, you
No,
said
Cosby,
switch.
Cosby had a good
Oh, it
Cosby had a
makes
good
sense
message
now.
actually as far as discipline. I think that's probably part of the reason why they're shutting him up. It's like
What?
beat your kid self personal responsibility and speaking English and not giving into the
I mean, true,
The
but you
vices,
don't
you
don't
know?
have to beat your kid to silly for that to happen.
have
No.
you tried
No,
it?
I don't advocate abuse in any form, but because I've really seen some nasty abuse. But
Yeah.
man,
Yeah,
some of these
yeah.
some
I'm
of
not
these
advocating
kids
abuse
just
on
don't even realize that there's consequences to their action.
Right.
Yeah, you have freedom to say what you want to say. You have freedom to do what you want to do, but you don't have the freedom to escape the consequences of what you say or do.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of
Exactly.
a cumulative effect. You have a generation that's raised on this, too much allowances, too much forgiveness, too much, and then they raise their children, and when they're confronted with, an instance where they may need to exhibit patience, they're unable to, and so they resort to this like extreme reaction, and then those kids grow up, and it's like it's exponential. Now we're 4 or 5 generations into this shit. It's no wonder people, are just slapping their kids and, not just abandoning them. I mean,
I
These kids
would
have never been
reserve
told
that-
no.
Yeah.
I always reserved that type of thing, and you know, when my child was younger, anyway, for like something that was gonna hurt them, like they're about to grab the damn stove
Sure,
with the
yeah.
burner on and slap the hand, you know, they know, oh shit,
To remember it.
yeah, to
Yeah.
remember it. But yeah, I mean, you know, you didn't pick up your toys. I'm not gonna beat you up for that. It's just not, yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
I can't
I
do
used
it.
to take the garden rake and pull all the stuff out of the closet, out from under the bed, and pile it up in the middle of the floor and say, nothing can go back under the bed or in the bottom of the closet except shoes.
Uh-oh.
And
It's always
they
like that.
had a trash bag, and they had everything they had a place other than under the bed. So they had a trash bag because 2 of mine would sneak food, so there would be plates and candy wrappers and all kinds of stuff. So
Pudding pops.
I didn't buy
Oh,
pudding pops.
Reminds me of the old nun, a place for everything and everything in its place.
That's
Well,
it exactly. There you go. We're a generation of
I
men
admit-
raised by women. That is exactly it.
I only made them do this once a month. It wasn't like I was obsessive compulsive about it. You know, once a month they had to make the room livable, and then it would last for a month or close to it, and then they'd have to do it again. So, but all of mine are working. They're self-supporting. None of them are in jail. So I must have done something
Hey.
right.
That's
Good
good.
job.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, raising children is hard. You know what I mean? It's not as clear cut as and easy as like, you know, people want to make it out to be. It ain't. It's hard.
They don't come with an instruction manual, and they do come with the knowledge of how to push each and every button you have.
And each one of them
Usually
is
when you
different.
can least handle it.
You know, I guess while we're kind of on the subject, did you guys hear about that some kind of breakthrough about finding out about genetic memory? Let me see if I can find that real quick. Yeah, so it just for a long time it was like kind of speculated or something, and now it seems like they found some proof, and it makes sense because evolution. You know, like look at the salamander or whatever it was you take from one island, bring it to the other, and adapts to its environment over generations. So it has to remember that somehow, right? So it's like genetic memory. So, you know, maybe that's how come is it possible that you can access your past life through your DNA like that?
I think it's entirely possible, and considering we don't understand how memory works at all yet still. You know, we have theories about it, but, you know, some of the theories about how memory works fully explain genetic memory, you know?
Right. You know, like instincts.
Right. Yeah, being afraid of a spider or a snake or something.
If you ever had
know?
kittens, or you've ever had cats that had kittens that were, the cats that had them were litter trained, and the kittens are practically litter trained. Like, even if the parrots go away, it's like they still instinctively know they gotta go shit in the litter box.
You
Is
just
that
pick them
right?
up, put them in the box once, and they know.
Smell like poop in here.
Kittens are easier to train than children are.
Amen.
No doubt. All right, so you know, I can't really find nothing on that right now without having to dig. So we've got Republican congressional candidate. I was abducted by aliens.
She is a fucking
Oh,
alien.
you know what? This is that same lady in Florida we talked about this a while ago, about a year ago. And you know, of course, she comes out and says she had this experience and she gets fucking lambasted. Obviously, that's what's gonna happen.
But didn't Jimmy Carter talk about seeing aliens? And Reagan talked about that if aliens showed up, we might unite. Come on, it's
Yeah,
not
and
that
then-
off the wall.
And then that one guy from the Aliens movie came out and said that he had an experience, and then he got drugged through the fucking mud too. Who else recently? I'm trying to remember. I can't remember which dude from Aliens, but you know what? Aliens, the HR, the guy, Geiger. Yeah. So
I mean-
one of the actors from that.
Hmm.
Okay, what's this? Sex cult partied on Richard Branson's private island? So this is probably directly linked to that other shit. Yeah.
Wish that girl would join my sex cult.
Dan. Well, Dan was thinking about sex cults tonight. Here's another one.
Yeah, well, that woman that was in, I can't think of the show, but she was arrested for trafficking kids.
Smallville.
Yes.
Yeah, Smallville. She
Yeah.
and then
Alpha
she
X.
was released on bail after they made a big deal about her singing to the police. So if she makes it to court,
Yeah.
I'm going to be surprised.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
Didn't they have to like catch her when she was on the run with that dude anyway? Like initially?
I think they found him in
I don't
Mexico or
remember the
yeah, in
details.
Mexico. They were like running from him in Mexico. This is pretty frightening and kind of new. How police can download the private contents of your phone in minutes without a warrant and with no limit on the volume of data.
Joke's on you. There's nothing interesting on my phone.
Haha, you might see a text to this guy. Officers can use a machine to extract all kinds of information from phones. This includes location data, deleted pictures, encrypted messages. Experts warn there is no limit on the volume of data police can obtain. The UK police, so it always starts over there first. Remember that, guys.
Yeah, the UK is gone.
Always starts there. They got the cameras, we got the cameras. They get the gun laws taken away, we get the gun laws taken
They're about to ban fucking knives.
Well,
man.
About the ban knives.
Australia got their guns taken away about the same time UK did. So,
So this footage shows how officers can use a machine to extract all kinds of information, including, you already said that article. Opposition groups have argued that the police should not be able to access this data, which can currently used on suspects, victims, and witnesses.
Who wrote this article? God.
I don't know,
Don't
man.
they speak English in
It
England?
makes me sound like I'm stupid.
Well, you are, so
I
it's all
know,
worse
so-
because it's compounded.
I know, it's like I'm reading.
don't
you know,
pick on him.
Actually do that more. All right, so they warn there is no limit on the volume of data police can obtain. Again, let's just watch the video. I'm gonna shut
You
up
know, I
now.
want to say it. Look, I got to point out because they've been wrong every time. There's absolutely a limit, and that's the limit of how much your fucking phone can. That's
Exactly.
clearly the limit. Hey, look, she's got my phone.
Oh, you guys can't hear this. Sorry about that.
They're all talking all crazy English, British.
I don't know who even wants to hear them. Okay, let's not watch this video instead.
It's not even.
Yeah,
anything.
but that's probably nothing new.
It basically looks like they got this tablet that they plug into your cell phone and then whoop,
Slurps it all up.
Bob's your uncle.
They're gonna slurp your old data.
There it is right there. Ooh, and it's
You know
got-
what I think is hilarious?
What's that?
What I think is hilarious is that
Man's tablet.
they make this big deal about the FBI can't hire hackers because all hackers use pot. And yet they have all these NSA hackers that you know are also using pot that can unlock anything.
Yeah, you remember
I
that?
think the-
you remember,
What about the Geek Squad? You know, the Geek Squad repair
yeah.
center that's down toward Lexington, where the people would send their computers in and they would scan them for
Mm-hmm.
child porn and
Mhm.
stuff. And if they found something, they'd turn you over for the bounty.
yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Working with the state. Man, what about, remember a few years ago there was, what was it, the San Bernardino shooters or something? They had an iPhone and they made this
Oh,
huge
yeah, about
deal about,
unlocking
we can't unlock it.
No.
The pin, we can't get past it. We got to get Tim Cook in here. I mean, total fucking bullshit. Like from the first minute of that,
Exactly.
it was like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, yeah. And it was just, they dragged that out for like 2 weeks. And yeah. And now it's like years later. Now
Exactly.
they've themselves have come out. The NSA or someone came out. I think it was the CIA maybe made a statement about bypassing phone encryption. Like, you know, obviously we've been able to do this for years. It's just funny. I'd love to put
Yeah.
those side by side just to show the.
Well, you know, the thing about it is whatever technology that we have on our desktop is what the government probably had 20 years ago.
The DARPA rule.
Hmm?
So and I think the actual one of the quotes that I read was something about some of these guys want to get high on the way to the interview.
Well, you know, fucking
Hey, man.
moment strikes. I mean,
You know, I gotta go in there and
no, it's
talk about
getting
stuff.
9:15. You know, it's
Oh yeah, actually we do have to jump to a quick break.
Look at this fiend over here.
I have worked for a major internet provider, and I was on the hiring team once, and some of those applicants, they come in baked.
Hey man,
Dude,
Y'all got a free
I want
coffee?
a job.
When I was out west living in Seattle area, and I did some contract work at a Microsoft campus, and I befriended some people that were full-time employees, had been there for a while, and learned some of the history of Microsoft. And the reason why they wanted campuses to begin with was so that they could have meetings where they walk around outside so they could smoke pot. Back in the founding days of Microsoft, that was the motivating factor for getting campuses as opposed to just one big office building, so they could have outside space because so many people smoke pot.
yeah, well, something was like that with the Atari too, I think.
I'm
But,
sure.
but
yeah.
look, we need to jump to a quick break here, and we're gonna try to get Dan in the mix here so he can report on what's going on out there in magical Virginia Beach.
I want to hear about this
Ooh-wee.
fucking magic
Oh,
thing.
Wow.
Excited.
So, we'll jump out over that break, and when we get back, we'll have more of this and some of that and a little of this and a whole lot of that. And thank you guys. See you on the other side.
All right.
Or resolve to do the wrong thing. Major crashes and the heart will sing. Check the balance, darling, before leaving town. When you drove away, alert sense of sound, in step with each other until our eyes turn gray. Your secret side, expired pesticides, feeling out to normalize the top prize. Late night arrive is an ill man's sign. Still a slice of rye in order to provide. No words to say, spying eyes from outside.
So I haul ass to the apartment complex, making a meet-up spot. Oh, it's pretty cool. That was something. And remember Dawn was already there. He was freaking out about something. He dropped his bike and he was running over to me around the corner. You know, I knew the guy pretty well. He's not the type to spin yards. Definitely not the type to freak out. He called us right away. So I tried to keep the distance, but just couldn't. So as fast as he rode, every time he looked back, the guy was crouching or hiding behind something closer and closer every time. Like, impossible. He said he could hear the guy whispering stuff really fast. He noticed as the guy got closer, he was whispering into his fist. He said he got closer still and he could see the guy was whispering into a ring. He said closer still. And he said the ring was a big fat fly tied to his finger, just buzzing around in place. He's hyperventilating, you know. I don't even know how to tell him that I had just seen the creep as well. I don't know, neither of us are ever religious, but I could tell he meant it when he said, that man was the f***.
Я пришел дать эту песню.
Like beef. I smell 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 like beef.
What's it say, Dan? President Putin has slammed Pope Francis for pushing a political ideology instead of running a church, and warned that the leader of the Catholic Church is not a man of God. So, yeah. Pope Francis is using his platform to push a dangerous far-left political ideology on vulnerable people around the world. People who trust him because of his position, Putin said. If you look at what he, the Pope, says, it's clear that he is not a man of God. At least not the Christian God. Not the God of the Bible. Putin knows the Bible. Believe me, you.
Oh, I'm sure.
He said this at the Naval Cathedral of St. Nicholas in Kronstadt. He dreams of a world government and of a global communist system of repression. Putin or the Pope? I don't know. As we have seen before in communist states, this system is not compatible with Christianity. The Pope has become increasingly brazen this year in pushing the globalist agenda and far-left talking points upon the masses. Earlier this year, he called for a global central bank and a financial authority. And more recently, he said, Americans need to be ruled by a world government as soon as possible for their own good. What the fuck, man? Hey, whoa, we're back, hour 2, hour power. You know the drill, guys. If you like what you're seeing, if you enjoy it a little bit, you know, you can hop over to Facebook. You can join our group. It's Reality Brief Exo News, something like that. You can give us a like on Facebook. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're broadcasting on Twitch right now. If you guys are over in Twitch and you're talking, sorry, we're not seeing it. But hey, you know, thanks for talking. It's great. What else? We got stuff. You know, we got the Patreon thing. If you guys want to consider maybe giving us $1 a month or something, that's cool. That's great. Yay.
The whole Bandcamp thing.
Bandcamp, that's right. You can go to realitybrief.bandcamp.com and download the MP3s. You can get them for free, or you can give us a donation, whatever you want. Quarter, 10 cents. No, the shirts are down. The shirts are down.
All the more limited edition.
Black Hawk is down.
I like it.
And my apologies once again to Dennis Quaid. I will get you your shirt. I swear it. So we're back here, and we're back with Penny and Ian. Looks like we're not going to be able to get Dan on, but Dan is at this ceremonial magic thing in Virginia Beach, and it really sucks he couldn't, you know, get on the line here and tell us about it.
Well, maybe he'll call back up.
So now, you know, if you're local and you're into that sort of thing, maybe hit Dan up somehow and get some info on that, because that's just jumping around here. Cultists in the hood. All right. And you guys are back. Hey, how you doing? Hello?
Us?
Yeah. Hey. Oh, look at that.
Hey, cool.
All right. It's this one.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, maybe.
Ian, you there? Oh, maybe. That's not good. So, when we left off, we were talking about... I don't know.
We were talking about Cosby there for a minute.
Cosby, that's right.
Let's see, what did
we had all this. We had all this.
Man, speaking of vinyl, I've got a couple of Cosby's old comedy albums.
Really?
And, yeah, back in the day, they were like, you know, you know, your parents got you listen to that, you're in trouble, and now they're like nursery rhymes.
Yeah.
I recently acquired a George Carlin LP. I was pretty stoked about that.
Oh, there was one that was like over the top dirty for her day. I don't know if you remember Rusty Warren. Knockers Up.
Nope, it's not ringing any bells. Ooh, are robots people?
Oh, I used to get in trouble for Cheech and Chong.
Oh, Sister Mary Elephant.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, I was watching Cheech and Chong. They were, a friend of mine was live casting them on Facebook. They were at some theater in LA this weekend. Sorry about that.
We've got this article here from Listverse. Just came out on the 30th, and it is 10 supposed secret space programs. Pretty interesting. It's notable that Tony Rodriguez got a shout out in there somewhere. I
saw that.
I kind of want to just, you know, skim through it a little bit and go through the different programs they have listed here and kind of get your guys' feedback on, you know, what you may know about these particular ones here. So he starts the list off here at number 10, Solar Warden. So Solar Warden kind of spawned out of this, well, people knowing about it anyway. This Gary McKinnon hack where he said he went, basically what the dude did was just logged into a bunch of government computers like with Telnet and just did blank username and password and like got into a bunch of places, and he said he downloaded this picture of a Star Destroyer and found these graphs with ship-to-ship transfers with extraterrestrial crew members or whatever. But unfortunately there is no hard evidence of this. All right, he hasn't presented these files or anything. We're just kind of going off his word here. But since then, it's kind of spawned into this whole thing. Now we've got William Tompkins. This guy's talking about his supposed secret space program. Insider William Tompkins claims to have helped develop the vessels used in the Solar Warden fleet. Right, and then you've got, you know, all you guys talk about Solar Warden. Penny, you said you had some dealings with them.
My ship in Nachtwaffen dealt with Solar Warden. Solar Warden thinks that they are the police of the solar system. So they'll randomly stop ships, and you have to interact with them. They also carry a lot of freight for Nachtwaffen and for the planetary corporations. They claim they don't know what it is, but their officers do. So they know that they're handling humans in stasis. They know that they're handling cyborgs in stasis. They know that they're transporting body parts for ETs for food. They know they're doing it. The officers do. The enlisted men, like in any military, don't always know what the right hand or the left is doing. So, but the officers know.
So now, I guess the current narrative about Solar Warden is that it's spawned out of the Navy. You have any comment about that? Did you see any kind of Navy insignias on any of the ships or uniforms that they were wearing?
Yeah, they're U.S. Navy. They're just not Earth-based. It's, like the Marines originally came out of the Navy, so did Solar Warden. And the Space Marines are usually transported by Solar Warden. The fleet that is generally referred to as Earth Defense Force is U.S. Air Force. So,
okay, so now the Corey Good brand, I guess you can call it at this point, since he's copywriting shit, is saying that the Air Force program is what he's calling the lower level military industrial complex. It's kind of weird because the next one on the list is the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, which Elena said, damn it, it's slipping my mind right now.
Planetary corporations.
Planetary corporations.
And that was the branch that she worked in.
Right, and so now this is basically the military-industrial complex here. This is spawned from the companies we know as the military-industrial complex here on Earth. So the whole
there's like 50 of them.
It seems like he's, like we definitely got some discrepancies here. I don't know exactly what the deal is, but if the ICC,
deal is each group calls them by separate names, and they see different aspects of them, and they lie to their own operatives. So
basically it's these same companies, but they're just putting out a lower level product to the Air Force.
Yeah.
It's the same companies involved in the ICC or the planetary corporations.
I still, as far as I know, the group that's running Earth Defense Force, as Corey Good calls it, that's the Air Force.
Right.
They're supplied by the military-industrial complex, and yes, it's a lower-level security operation.
Yeah, well, it's lower-level tech.
Lower tech. The higher the security, the higher the tech. Is the way it operates.
They save the good stuff for the Solar Warden and the ICC. So basically, Solar Warden.
No, they save the good stuff for Schwarze Sonne.
Okay.
And then the next level goes to Nachtwaffen, and then Solar Warden is further down the list.
So now the planetary corporations or the ICC. It would be safe to say that they probably hold some of the, finer stuff back from all of the programs, right?
Yes.
So they would be more advanced as far as technology goes than, as far as a collective fleet or whatever. Do they have, do you know if they have their own fleet?
Yes, they do.
And then they have the giant ships comparable to the Solar Warden and the Nachtwaffen?
They have pretty decent-sized ships, but they're transports. They
Who
have
designs
these
the ships? If you mind me asking a question. Are they designed off-world, or are they designed by humans?
both. We have so many colonies in space now, and they took the best and the brightest in the 60s and 70s. So those people are in their own culture where they are competing against each other instead of us. And it dropped our average IQ tremendously. And they are in a situation where nobody is below a 180 IQ. So they're competing against each other, and they're coming up. So what?
Well, they're probably taking brain augmented drugs, like the Limitless drug.
They're taking things beyond that.
Pudding pops.
Yeah, definitely.
Their basic DNA IQ is over 180, but they're operating at least 100 points above that due to enhancements. And most of them have chips. Most of them are more like Borg than human. And they are so smart, the way they operate, that
so when
very few
there's probably no need to basically copy the information back and forth.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to say. So when you say they're like the Borg, more like the Borg, is it like a collective consciousness, or what do you mean when you say like the Borg?
Everybody is brain chipped into the local computer, and so it's like a network. You're still you're still an individual, and they'll punish you if you get out of line. But everybody knows what everybody else is thinking. There's
no privacy.
No privacy at all, and you're constantly
an individual. There's no privacy.
And and it's coming soon here, because we were just talking last week or the week before about these different technologies that are reading your brain. Like you can walk past a computer or a cell phone that's going to read your thoughts. Mm-hmm. And someone had just posted in our group recently about these Chinese work helmets that are supposed to monitor your emotional state.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so
all that's been in use in the space programs since the 1970s.
And see, and that's the kind of stuff they want to give us. They don't want to give us the free energy or the anti-gravity. They want to give us the stuff that's going to enslave us further.
Yeah.
So
yes,
this article is what it says about the ICC is Lockheed Skunk Works division has a penchant for secrecy. The existence of the F-117A stealth fighter was kept secret for nearly 10 years until the eve of the Gulf War. Though the existence of the SR-71 Blackbird is well known, insider Edgar Rothschild Fouché claims that claims that Lockheed has developed Fouché claims
he's French American. It's Fouché.
Claims that Lockheed has developed secret planes all the way up to SR-75. Some of these aircraft are apparently capable of speeds in excess of Mach 10. Various insiders claim that Skunk Works has also made spacecraft capable of reaching other worlds. These witnesses to the secret space programs claim that Lockheed, Northrop, and various non-aerospace corporations all joined together to form an organization called the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, or Planetary Corporations, according to Elena. So I just added that. It's not in this article. While the purpose of Solar War is the defense of the solar system, the objective of the ICC is trade. Okay, and then it goes on to talk about
no.
Right.
The objective of the ICC planetary corporations is to get as much advanced technology as possible, as quickly as possible, and to adapt it to Earth human needs.
They're basing, they're basing that on an exopolitics.org article as their source, just to put that out there. I'm not saying that's supposed to mean anything. I'm just where that's coming from. So
is that Alfred or Sala?
That's Sala, so that's coming from the good camp.
Okay.
All right, and then they go on to say that Corey
Good
Good
as in Corey Good, not good as in
Corey Good, Blue Chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, we have a recipe for that in Kentucky. And Blue Chickens land here, they're going to end up in a bucket.
Comes with blue dipping sauce.
Mm.
All right, so it goes on to talk about more of Corey Good's narrative, and then it goes to 2015. The British Interplanetary Society held a distinctly odd meeting. Charles Cockle, the event organizer, led his fellow society members in a thought experiment to determine how best to dispose a ruthless dictator of a Martian colony. Coincidentally, this event was held within days of Good revealing the existence of a slave colony on Mars. Alright, we're going to stop talking about that now. Okay, so number 8, they're calling the German breakaway civilization.
That's the German colony system. Yes, that's real.
In the early 1930s, German occultist Maria Orsic allegedly contacted extraterrestrials while in a trance state. Orsic was a member of the Vril Society, which in itself was an offshoot of the Thule Society. Both groups were involved in investigating the origins of the Aryan race. Orsic supposedly received information on how to build an interstellar spaceship from extraterrestrials from Aldebaran, who claimed to be the progenitors of the Aryans. Right. Well, you know, we've talked about this at great length. The first, 5 episodes of this broadcast were specifically about this stuff. You know, that seems to line up with everything that I've come in contact with. So, and then it says, wow.
Every ET race I've encountered has claimed to be the creators of humanity. And they all claim that we should obey them because they created us. So take that with a grain of salt.
So it goes on and says, while Hitler believed the Black Sun Society, a group controlled by the SS, had thoroughly infiltrated the Vril and Thule societies, it appears that Orsic had plans other than giving up control of her spacefaring capabilities to the warlike Third Reich. Orsic and her entire group disappeared without a trace in the final days of World War II, leading the occultists that she left behind to believe that she had successfully made the trip to Aldebaran in the ship that the Vril Society had constructed. The Nazis, however, had other plans in motion for achieving a permanent presence among the stars. So they're saying that the colony system was created by Orsic as a breakaway from the Dark Fleet, or Nakwath, right?
Well,
that's what they're saying.
I would call them the civilian form. They're the ones that they came with women and children and basically started a society, and the Nachtwaffen is the military of it. They're hand in hand, they're not separate.
So they got number 7 as the Dark Fleet.
Nachtwaffen.
And they're saying Vril Society was interested in peaceful space exploration. Third Reich had a mind only for conquest. According to over a dozen supposed secret space program insiders, the militaristic ambitions were helped along greatly when the Nazis made contact with an extraterrestrial group called the Draco in the 1930s.
Yeah. All of the colonies are in Draco territories in the solar system.
Right.
Every single one of them. So anybody that's saying that Earth-based people of any ethnicity are shooting Draco has either been lied to by their superiors or is full of it.
So number 6, we're not going to go too deep into that because we've talked about that at great length. This one here, though, this is one that's not talked about a lot. It's coming from Randy Kramer as a source, and that's Project Moonshadow.
I hadn't heard of that one.
According to alleged secret space program insider Randy Kramer, or Captain K as some might know him, right? That was the alias. Project Moonshadow was a MyLab program designed to train genetically augmented super soldiers. MyLab is a contraction of military abduction, and this term refers to a number of projects that were supposedly conducted to obtain and train assets, usually children, for the secret space programs. Many of these projects assess the edgeability of sensitive individuals for work as intuitive empaths, which is a position that involves interfacing with extraterrestrials who have evolved beyond the need for vocal utterances. Usually these naturally born empaths were identified from a distance using reverse engineered extraterrestrial technology.
Empath or telepath? There's a difference.
It says intuitive empath, so that's would be what Corey Good says he is.
If I recall correctly, Randy Kramer referred to them as psionics experts, and that would include telepathy as part of it. And I knew MeLabs as military laboratories, And they were not only genetically modifying kids, but kidnapping and training them, and most of their bases are on Earth. I had not heard of any on the moon. I was one of those kids, and my kidnapping and training was at Langley, not far from where you are. So, yeah, there's overlaps there, but I don't know about that particular program.
It goes on to say that the developers of Project Moonshadow, however, genetically engineered embryos from the ground up that were then implanted into unwitting female hosts. These children would be born and live a few normal years before being brought aboard a secret space program craft in the dead of night. They would be flown to the moon, where they would participate in training exercises designed to bring out their latent abilities. Now, I wonder if this is got to do with a lot of the people having experience of being, you know, abducted by Greys and having reproductive tests or whatever done to them, you know. Cause we know
that makes perfect sense.
We know that, you know, so the narratives go, we use Greys as sort of a clone, like biological robot type deal to kind of do our bidding. So if they use that to kind of like as a screen memory of the Grey to what was actually going on, because that's another interesting thing about that abduction stuff, the Grey abduction, is that it's in a lot of cases, like overwhelming amount, it's followed up or coincides with a military type abduction. So, you know, what's the screen?
Sometimes the same night.
Right.
And when you take those people and you put them under hypnosis, and if the hypnotist is smart enough and trained well enough, they will come up with what's behind the screen. What really happened? And then it's like, for the person who's hypnotized, it's like a curtain lifts, and then you see what really happened. That's what I've been doing with my memories, is I go through and I remember something that seems really bizarre, and then I'll go, so, okay, brain, what really happened? And then the whole situation changes. And usually, if it's Greys, it's not really. It's usually you were taken by one of these groups and used in whatever space thing they were doing. And yeah, they took lots of genetic material, lots of eggs, lots of semen samples from humans, because they were not able to get the people they wanted together to be together. So they took the stuff and made the babies themselves. And yes, they are, my generation, they were still messing with the people.
Right.
Selective breeding.
Selective breeding. But the next generation, like, would be my kids. They were abducting people and taking their DNA and producing babies and implanting them into what they thought would be suitable hosts. And there's a lot of disconnect with these people, because at their soul level, the mothers knew this wasn't their child and didn't bond with them. So the kids ended up borderline sociopathic.
Well, that's what's interesting about this, is that it goes on to say, in sharp contrast to other MyLab programs, the training provided in the Project Moonshadow did not involve traumatizing experiences. According to Kramer, Project Moonshadow consisted of 300 boys and girls who were trained in strategy, agility, and strength. Later, these genetically engineered child soldiers were given live weapons and trained alongside bemused adults. According to the testimony of insiders such as Corey Good and Tony Rodriguez, other MyLab programs expose children to the absolute depths of horror, and, you know, you and basically everybody, but like one or two.
Yeah. Most of us experienced the horror. They went through and mind fractured us and produced alters that they could train for different things and use for different things. And that would leave them with nobody able to testify against them, because these things are illegal.
Right.
Well, if they didn't believe that they were from this world, then it would make it easier way to defense. Oh, well, they're crazy. You know, that's, you know, they're saying that this was done by aliens, or, you know, and
Right.
Well, in my case, it wasn't done by aliens. It was done by ACIO, the CIA, the part of the CIA that is now called DARPA. And I know this, I just can't prove it to put them in jail.
well, they were hoping that nobody would ever break the code. That they were just not that good to make the code.
Any code you make can be broken. It's just a matter of time and effort and getting lucky enough to find the mistake they made. And any coder will tell you that.
There's going to be a bug in every code.
Exactly. There's always a bug.
Not my code. I don't know.
Well, if it's not the code, it's the hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
honestly,
always
most
a bug.
You could
hardware
have,
we're
you
running
could
on
have
is
perfect code, but crappy hardware that
backdoors
breaks
in
the
every
code.
single chip
Yeah.
that's commercially available now. So
Just real quickly, I guess we're gonna try to blow through the last 5 of these. Cause, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get Dan right on at the very end there. I'm gonna have to cut you guys off though to do that. So,
Okay.
Number 5, they've got Mars Defense Force. You know,
Yeah.
we've talked about that at length too. That's part of your experience.
Yeah.
This one is basically going into Kramer's account of it. Number 4.
Well, there's
No, go ahead.
there's the native one with the Martian colonists, and then there's the Space Marines, and they work together but are still separate.
All right. So number 4 is going to be the Global Galactic League of Nations. Now, this is, it says, widely believed in the insider community that the Roswell UFO incident was indeed an instance of a crashed ET. American aerospace contractors and the Nazi scientists involved in Paperclip were tasked with reverse engineering this craft to produce usable technology. The craft has been reproduced from the Roswell crash, and other similar incidents are known as alien reproduction vehicles, or ARVs. TR-3B is an example of a commonly cited ARV. All right, so where is the actual part of this? Okay, so it's saying basically the U.S. wasn't the only superpower. So this is basically like the space UN. This is something that Corey Good talks about.
I had never heard of that until I heard Corey Good talk about it.
I would say
So I can't verify it.
it seems to me to where it's kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with Stargate Atlantis, but how they had
Yeah.
that whole program when they found the thing down in Antarctica. They brought in all the different governments, and all the different governments in the world had a little piece of it, you know what I mean, of being part of that. So it seems to me, from the way I've heard it described, that it's basically that. I mean, it's almost a carbon copy of Stargate Atlantis. I mean, it would make
Well,
sense.
that would make sense,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I can't personally verify
Oh, no,
what I have no
absolutely.
knowledge of.
I honestly can't personally verify any of this. So I don't
It's
feel
okay.
bad that you can't, Penny. All right, so the Earth Alliance, number 3. All right, now this is something that's been a bit of contention point here. So now this is allegedly people who have broken away from the different factions inside of the different secret space programs who are working towards disclosure and freeing humanity against the cabal, which is what is now the cool fashion word for what people have been known before as like the Illuminati or the New World Order or the banking elite or whatever. You know, it's the same people we're talking about here. So these people are supposedly fighting back against the programs, trying to bring the technology to the surface. The biggest proponent of this I've seen is Corey Good. There are a few others.
Well, from my experience, breaking free from the system is impossible when there's a chip in your brain that gives you a seizure every time you think something that they don't want you to think.
Yeah,
From my experience, yeah, they have a kill switch on you. I call bullshit. There's no way this could happen.
And you know,
This is just savior complex.
and talking to Kevin, Kevin Tremella. You know him. We did the
I know him.
round table. So talking to him about it, he was relaying this experience he had when he was like in the sick bay type thing on the ship, and they were asking him questions and shit, and they were reading his mind. So it's like basically impossible for you to even start thinking that way, like you're gonna buck on this shit. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna know.
There's no way to do it. There's absolutely no way to do it, and you don't even own your own shoes. How are you gonna commandeer a ship without somebody there? There's so many factions in space. If you're out there rogue, they're gonna shoot your ass down. I call bullshit.
Then you're dealing with ETs that are highly telepathic, and they can read us like an open book.
Yeah. I call bullshit on this whole thing. There's no way this could have happened. This is just somebody's wet dream.
And and then it goes into the whole Trump thing, and I don't know.
Is this going to be a Q thing?
Man,
this is
totally
bullshit.
If
this is anything related to Q,
it totally ties into that, like hand in hand.
This is
Q
disinfo.
shit.
Yeah.
Here. This is disinfo.
Yeah.
I'll fucking tag it as that for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
I had my suspicions about the Q shit from the very beginning, and I never
So did
bought
I.
into it. But that is what that
So
is.
did I, especially whenever the supposed Qs started telling you, oh, you can trust this person and you can trust that person.
Yeah.
Oh no, that becomes a religion.
The worst part is it's not just it's a religion. People believe it, unquestioningly, but it's think what people are being told to do. It's like everything's under control. Don't worry about it anymore. All you people that are concerned, it's all good. I'll tell you exactly what you want to hear.
All y'all got to do.
We're playing 5D chess
Stay
here.
on Facebook for all your updates.
All y'all got to do is vote for Trump next time too, and everything be all right.
I mean, I don't know if QAnon has anything to do with Trump,
other than shilling for him.
Well, shilling for what people that support Trump are going to want to hear.
Right.
Not
exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that him and Trump are kumbaya hand in hand.
I mean, I haven't seen anything coming out of the Q bullshit to lead me to believe
I haven't
anything
seen
but a
anything.
distraction. There's no
I
fucking
haven't seen anything out of Trump even acknowledging that Q existed.
Right.
Yeah, there's no connection
So-
there for sure.
And believe me,
And
if it
I've been-
existed, Trump would be tooting it.
Exactly.
Not only that, okay, you two guys are coders here, right? So, say I'm this dude working for whatever, and I'm going to leak some Q-level intelligence. Am I going to create a username on Reddit and do it and not get caught?
No, I mean, there's the whole premise for sure that someone with Q level access, which is supposed to be like 10 or 15 people in total, that are out there, it's just absurd to think that someone would be out there like
Leaking
posting
it on Reddit.
photos and shit
But-
from their ridiculous.
I mean, my point is, you're saying that you're this and that, oh, they're trying to get us, so we're at war here. And you don't want, obviously, you don't want anyone to know who you are because you're posting under this Q.
Right.
Right? So how do you not get found out who you are? You made a goddamn Reddit username.
Well, they either slipped up or they did they intentionally. I remember reading something. They admitted to being multiple people. That it's a group, that's calling themselves Q, and they're the patriots at work and shit. You know what I mean? Like they're supposedly the good guys. It's not even Americans. I don't. It's either China or like Israel or someone, Mossad or someone. Seriously, it's got fingerprints all over it, man.
Ronald Dale Martin Jr. would say it was Russia.
Weird. It could be. Who fucking knows, man? But it's not.
It might be. I'm not
Probably
gonna say
know
it.
it's Kim Jong Il.
All right, so now
I would go with Mossad before any of the others.
It seems like how consistent and how 24 fucking hours a day. That's Mossad. All they've got warehouses full of office buildings full of people just fucking around on the internet and manipulating. It's.
I got a funny story about the Mossad here. Okay, so back in the day, well, all right, so Bilderberg comes to the United States about once every 4 years, give or take, usually on a presidential election year. Sure. So in 08, that year, Bilderberg came to Virginia, right? So of course we were there on it.
Yeah, I remember.
So anyway, there was intelligence agents virtually from everywhere.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Everywhere,
Mhm.
right? And we found out this one dude was Mossad. We knew he was Mossad, and he was fucking with us, man. He was fucking with us so hard. He was driving up and down the road we were at, like with the fucking Groucho Marx glasses on, with the mustache and shit. Just like,
I would
right?
totally believe it.
And then there was this dude, this other guy. There's this, you know how like when you're getting on the highway or something, sometimes they'll have a runoff pond there.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
near
like
the
a
exits.
collection pool. Or
I don't know if
something,
they have that over there in California since there's no goddamn rain, but out
We
here,
have a few places, but not many.
yeah, out here they're basically they dry up and then they flood out, you know, just like that.
drainage pool.
So they got this guy standing out there, right? And it's not far from where we are, right? And they got him out there in the whole full get up with the goulashes and everything, fly fishing in this motherfucker. Anybody?
Did he catch anything?
Yeah, right. He probably caught a condom in a bottle or
Yeah,
something.
half a shoe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so ridiculous.
Well, we bought all this fly fishing gear. We gotta fucking use it.
It's like I don't know what they
Sounds
thought
like
they were going to
something
see.
would go on
man.
in Kentucky.
I mean, they, you know, I could.
Yeah, it was an experience. That definitely. One day I'm gonna pull out all the high 8 footage I got of that, and I'm just gonna slap that shit on YouTube, man. Because there's some out there, but man, I got so much footage from that event. All right, so number 2, military-industrial complex secret space program. All right, so now this I guess is gonna be the Air Force program we're talking about. While the members of the
Yeah.
Earth Alliance, global galactic leading nations, even the Cabal, all agree that the secrets of the clandestine space programs, extraterrestrial contact, and suppressed technology should be disclosed to the people of the world. There's some contention over how this feat should be accomplished. All right, and Cabal wants to slow
Now,
away.
my understanding is that those guys are not mind fractured, that they actually know who they are, where they are, and have agreed as adults to do this. So these guys are heroes.
Mhm.
Now, I just disagree with the article on who runs them,
Right.
because I believe it's the Air Force.
Well, basically, that's what this is saying, and this is the low-level Air Force, and this is, from what I can tell, this is using directly, you know, straight up out of Corey Good's mouth. This here, no
Yeah.
other sources other than Corey Good here. And then number 1, we've got the Secret Space Program Alliance, and that is another one.
Bullshit.
Of those, it's like the Earth Alliance, but actually, I guess I got them crossed. The SSP Alliance is supposedly the people in the SSP that broke away and are fighting against those programs. And the Earth Alliance is the people in the governments and stuff, like Q, fighting there on the ground.
It's
Yeah,
a very
well,
cool artwork.
those two are bullshit.
There really is cool artwork. And this is up on the listverse.com if you guys want to read the whole thing. Listverse.com.
Now, they left out two.
Okay.
They left out Kruger and they left out Monarch. And
Tell about
those
Kruger.
are
I keep hearing a lot about it. I'm not.
they
provided
are
information on that.
competing mercenary companies that are both American and they work under Nachtwaffen. But they are competing mercenary companies and they use the super soldiers. They are responsible for this, all of the super soldiers and a lot of it looks like Tomas is talking about the group that he was in
The USN,
The-
aka United Nations of Seoul.
yeah. Because he maintains that the Germans took the direction towards the center of the galaxy and that the Japanese took the direction towards the outer rim of the galaxy. So, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
they
they were allied during the war, right? So,
They were allied during the war, and they had split Atlantic between them. So it makes sense.
yeah, they could have been easily sharing technological breakthroughs with each other.
But Kruger and Monarch have the super soldiers, and they rent them out to ETs for wars. They also rent them out to Earth governments for wars.
See, now, the Kruger and Monarch thing, too, from what I can tell, seems to be wrapped up in this whole alliance issue as well, saying that Kruger is part of the quote-unquote good guys, while Monarch is the quote-unquote bad guys. To me, it seems like if they're kidnapping people and sticking them in a fucking robot body, they're not good guys.
I agree.
So, I mean...
And I have 2 alters that are working for Kruger.
And, you know,
nobody that kidnaps people to serve in their program is a good guy. That's my bottom line.
And the narrative seems to be coming from people who are involved with this. Anthony Zender is one. You know, I've had several conversations with him about this. You can go back and watch them. We've got them in the archives. And, you know, I asked him, you know, well, how do you know that they're the good guys? I mean, your memory's so scrambled, you don't really remember hardly anything, and he's, you know, he just does. I mean, well,
it's
you know,
part of
maybe
the
that's enough for
brainwashing.
you, but it's not enough for me.
It's part of the brainwashing. What I've seen is that the Kruger people are programmed that they're the good guys and that the Monarch is the bad guys, and the Monarchs are programmed the exact opposite. And that's because they often have to fight each other in these proxy wars. And so they automatically sense each other and go hostile. And I'm like, you know,
now,
they're 2 peas in a pod. They're just competing against each other. That's the way the German culture in space is set up, where there are always 2 competitors. So I don't think either one of them are good guys, to be honest. I think they're both a bunch of
now, can you
criminals.
Can you think of anyone who has come forward and said that they were Monarch?
Elena.
Okay, I thought she said that she was involved with Kruger. I don't know.
No, I was involved with Kruger, and Anthony was involved with Kruger, and James Rink was involved with Kruger, and Elena was involved in Monarch, and I don't know. I don't know why, but I get along with all of them. But you put those guys together in a room, and they're going to fight.
Interesting.
KJ Scoops is also Monarch.
Oh, damn it, Dan. All right, I guess Dan's not coming on. It's already 10 after 10. He ain't answering me no more. He's like, oh, come on at the end. Let me know. I'm like, all right, I'll tell you when. And then I'm like, hey, what about Dad? He's busy, man. He's busy. He's
out there
casting
doing magic
magics.
and shit, man.
He's casting magics, hopefully.
Be texting and magicking.
Hopefully he's magicking himself a new damn job, because I'm getting sick of him talking about 7-Eleven all the damn time.
Hey, at least he's working.
No, yeah. I mean, he works hard, man. He does that, but he also does freelance graphic design, which is the bulk of his work, and he just needs a little bit of extra cash from the 7. Like, he doesn't even have to work as much as he does.
Anything steady is good, you know. When you're freelancing, it's hard to, you know.
But you know,
Yeah,
that's probably too much information.
You have to have that core income to the freelance because of the dry spells.
I mean, that dude works his ass off. I'll give him that. He works his ass off, and he does a lot for the show.
Yeah,
you guys love Dan. Yay! All right, so I mean, it's 10 after. You guys got anything you want to add before we hit the road here?
Well, we certainly want to put the invitation to come visit us at our spaceportals.net.
That's it.
Yes.
You guys jump out there, sign up. There's lots of groups in there. Join the Reality
And
Brief.
Reality Brief has got a permanent home there, as far as I'm concerned.
Awesome.
Me too.
Appreciate it.
I even wore one of the T-shirts that are now a limited item.
Limited edition.
And where are they limited at that you can get one?
Well, you used to be able to get one at the past. See what happened? What had happened was I messed my screen up, and look. It's a lot of work.
This guy doesn't work as hard as Dan does.
I don't work as hard as Dan.
If Dan was in charge of the shirts, there'd be so many shirts.
Yeah. No, but really, I have to basically buy everything again to start making them again, which I will soon. But, you know, money, how that shit goes. That's why we're like, please give us money on Patreon and donate so we buy things. But yeah, that's how it goes. You used to be able to get them at Bandcamp, and we did a promotion. What was that?
I don't know how to
Feel bad.
Feel bad.
We did a promotion when we did that 12-hour broadcast, and we were kind of like putting them out as donation fodder or whatever. And you know, we made a few of them. We got them out there, but
I got
one skated by me because I destroyed my screen, man. The ink dried up in it, and it was fucked.
You didn't wash it out.
Well, it wasn't that.
Yeah.
I was printing. Like, I had printed a couple shirts, but the ink was old or something, and it dried out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It dried out really quick.
That sucks.
But yeah, you know, Bandcamp, realitybrief.bandcamp.com. That's where you could do that at eventually again. You can look at them there. They're great.
Go to Cafe Press and make them there.
Yeah, I
you
could do
probably
that too,
should, man,
but
really.
yeah, the reason we did it that way is so, you know, because it was cheap. So the money from the...
But now your excuse is you don't have enough money to fucking do it, so what?
Well, it was cheap. I had all the stuff at that point.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't
Cafe
have to
Press
buy
has all the
anything.
stuff right now.
All right.
Yeah, it reminds me
I'm
of my
doing a
grandma
Cafe
and her
Press. All right, guys. You
I'm
don't
sure
have
there's
to feel
alternatives,
any
you know.
bad.
church bazaars. Spend $100 on craft supplies to sell things for $2.
It's so fun
Yeah.
to do it yourself, though, you know?
It is not fun.
It's not fun. Then
No, it's
pay
not
someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Well,
Come
yeah.
on.
Well, we will eventually. Because one day we're going to have 4,000 Patreons donators that are all giving $10 a month.
Wow. That's a lot of dollars.
We'll be lucky if we see 20,
Fund the studio.
$50 a month. Anyway, that's about it for the show, you guys. We thank you for coming on and talking about the spaceportals.net. That's where you want to go directly right now. If you're watching this, hit new tab, spaceportals.net, hit the login button, and then hit create new account. And then put your info in there, get your email, unlock the jam, sign up on
And
the
usernames are one word. That's been a big hiccup.
Oh, yeah. One word, underscores, numbers, no symbols, right?
Underscored numbers, no symbols. Passwords, 8 characters. You know, like I said, keep it simple. We're not going to make you make some unpronounceable, glyph as your password.
And the other thing
I mean, shit. Some of the passwords that I have to do on other sites, I think I cast a spell by the time I'm done writing it.
Now,
Don't forget to put our link on the bottom when you post this.
I will, absolutely. And the other thing I would just like to say is if you do that process and you're looking for your confirmation email and you can't find it, just check your spam folder because it's there.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we've kind of turned that off for
Okay,
a
great.
little bit so that people can get on a little bit quicker.
Cool. Awesome.
But
Maybe
we will be
also-
doing a little more checking, in the future. We're just going to go on the honor system for now.
Well, I think for now, I mean, you're still at low numbers, so for now, I guess.
Yeah, I
right? Once it
think
starts
we're
getting up there,
under 30.
yeah. And once it starts getting into the hundreds, I think.
And another thing that's pretty amazing, and I point out to Penny all the time, is, we're not necessarily a male site or a female site. We're pretty binary. We're right down the
Yeah.
middle, almost 50-50.
That's
to me,
really
that's impressive.
That's really unusual for websites to stay 50-50 on gender.
I think we're like, we actually got a lot more female listeners than I would suspect.
It's that Dan
It's Dan with that sexy ass beard, dude.
pulling them in.
Oh my god. Oh my god. But yeah, I think we're like 70-30, which I thought was high as fuck.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool because we love the ladies too.
Of course.
Ladies are the best.
We hold up half the sky.
Damn right. All right, guys. Well, once again, like I said, I thank you all for coming on, and thanks for making that page because it's great, and it's gonna blow up. It's gonna blow up. Just give it some time. You just released it, so. And
Yeah, and I'm already trying to figure out, ways to increase the server when we need to, and do it at a very low cost. And that's the main thing: is keep the costs down and just make it for the community. Let's just, if we all try to enjoy it and be respectful, it'll be a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, y'all out there, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week on Reality Brief.